Good morning everybody and welcome to part 2 of my Journey to Un'Goro set review. I sadly don't have the time to make it as fancy as the last one, but we're still gonna do it, right? I still wanna do it, and so let's just go ahead and get straight into it. We're gonna keep it simple. You can see I have the card down here that we are currently looking at, and then my collection open over to the left, so we can look at, possible synergies and so on. Direhorn Hatchling, Taunt, 3/6 Beast, Death Rattle Shuffle, 6/9 Direhorn with Taunt into your deck. So they're still pushing for Taunt Warrior, especially with the new quest. Play 7 Taunt minions and then you get Sulfuras. Now, the thing about this Taunt quest, this Taunt Warrior thing, it started with the Grand Tournament when they introduced Bolster. Right, that's when they started pushing for Taunt Warrior. They have King's Defender and Bolster in here, really saying, go ahead and play some Taunts. Now, of course, King's Defender and Bolster are rotating out, which means that, sadly, we cannot bolster this guy to make him big, and Taunt Warrior is not going to be able to, have really big bolster minions. That's not going to happen, but nonetheless, this card is actually, I think, pretty decent just because it's a beast. It allows you to synergize with, what's his face? The Curator, right? So you play the Curator then allows you to, where did he go? Oh, he's not in this set, right? He's in Karasan, right? So the Curator that allows you to pull this guy out of the deck, or actually the 6/9 Direhorn, which is of course awesome. So I think there's some merit to this card, although I'm not entirely sure if it isn't too slow. A 5 mana 3/6 with Taunt is somewhat okay, but it's not great. That is pretty much vanilla stats. It really is actually. If you look at 5 mana, there is, what is he called? Fen Creeper. The Fen Creeper, which is just a 5 mana 3/6 with Taunt. The only advantage the Direhorn Hatchling has against aggro decks is really that it's a beast, but Warrior doesn't have any beast synergies. So I'm a little unsure about this card. I want it to be good, but it might just be too slow. If the metagame is slow, then of course, yes, there's a chance this is very powerful, but when has the metagame ever been slow? Fire Plume's Heart. Quest, play 7 Taunt minions, reward Sulfuras. Sulfuras is a 4/2 weapon, costs 5 mana and gives... Wait, no, it costs 3 mana, I believe. Has 4 attack, 2 health, and it gives you Ragnaros's hero power, which is deal 8 damage to a random enemy. Of course, the hero power is insane. Fire Plume's Heart gives Control Warrior a way to win the game. That is something the Control Warrior is lacking right now. If you look at any sort of warrior list that, I don't know, like tries to control currently, what ends up happening is you just cannot kill your opponent. You don't have any finishers that are fast and powerful enough, right? Gromage doesn't do it, and what else are you gonna do, right? Like, the metagame is too fast. Control Warrior may be able to stay alive, but then they just get overwhelmed. This card actually gives Control Warrior a win condition, and a very powerful one at that. You build up a lot of armor, you play your Taunt minions, you stay alive. Eventually you get your weapon that starts, that's first of all a very powerful weapon, but then you can start blasting your opponent in the face every turn for 8. That is very powerful. So Fire Plume's Heart, I actually think will see play in a Taunt heavy Control Warrior deck. It is a late game tool that allows Control Warrior to win the game. If you get into fatigue, right, then you just blast them constantly. Now, at the same time, Control Warrior loses a very important card, and that is Justicar, right? Justicar was from the Grand Tournament. We do need Justicar if you want, like, I don't know, currently, if you want to play Control Warrior, Justicar is one of the most essential cards. Losing her is a big deal. So we're gonna have to see if Control Warrior can come back into the meta. But if there is any chance of it, I think this card will really do it. There's definitely some potential there, and it is something that really allows you to close out the game, which is what Control Warrior needed. We've got the Ornery Direhorn, Taunt, Battlecry, Adapt, 6 mana, 5/5 Beast. Another card you can pull from the Curator, which is nice. I think we'll see Curator in these Paladin decks, especially since there's also now Dragons that have taunts that a warrior can use. So, Ornery Direhorn, Battlecry, Adapt. The problem with this is that I think sometimes Adapt will screw you here, right? Because you can just get Adapt Stealth and Adapt Taunt, both of which are completely pointless. So, assume you play your Ornery Direhorn and you get Stealth and Taunt and +3 attack. Right, you're just fucked. You're just fucked. Because now you played a 6 mana 8/5 Taunt that doesn't, you know, I guess it has a lot of attack. Most of the time, though, this card will actually, I think, be reasonably powerful. Again, it's a little bit slow. It's a little bit slow. I think you'll play either this one or this one, right? You will either play the Direhorn Hatchling or the Ornery Direhorn. You don't want to play both. If you play both, then your deck is too slow and you don't have really any plays. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see which one pulls out ahead there. But I think there is space for one in the Taunt Warrior, just because Curator is actually a really good card and you want a beast to pull out of the deck. We've got the Tar Lord, 7 mana, 1/11. Taunt has +4 attack during your opponent's turn. This card I think is actually pretty damn good. It is just an Ancient of War in a lot of circumstances. As Warrior, especially as the Taunt Warrior, you have your Sulfuras eventually, right? So you finish the game with that by blasting your opponent for 8 each turn. You don't need to have a tool that actually, or you don't need to have minions to really push for a lot of damage just because of that very powerful hero power. So the Tar Lord, which has +4 attack during your opponent's turn, will be able to just be put out there and then just sit there, right? And just be a 5/11 on their turn. Essentially an Ancient of War, but to some extent even better. And I think this card will definitely see play. I would be very surprised if this doesn't end up in Warrior decks. It's just really solid. I mean, these tower minions in general, I personally like a lot. I think they're really strong. Hot Spring Guardian, 3 mana, 2/4 with Taunt. Battlecry, restore 3 health. It's also an elemental, just like the Tar Lord, by the way. That's another good thing about it. Although, I gotta be honest with you, I don't really believe in the elemental warrior decks right now. It doesn't seem like that's what's going to happen. Right, I think this is just an elemental because the Tar minions are elementals, but the Tar Lord elemental tag won't really come into play that much. I don't think so. Anyway, a Hot Spring Guardian, a Shaman, of course, elemental based, right? I would be very surprised if this card doesn't see play. It's a 3 mana 2/4 with Taunt, which are solid stats. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not incredible, but restoring 3 health is nice. If you play this guy against a Pirate Warrior, you'll probably just get Fiery War Axe for 700 anyway, so probably won't matter that much. But it does curve into the 4 mana 3/5 Divine Shield Taunt guy if you have played an elemental ahead of time. So the Hot Spring Guardian can definitely come into play there. This card, I think, might see play if it turns out that Pharaoh Spirits is not fit for elemental Shaman. Right, because it does fill that 3 mana spot. It has perfectly fine stats. Its stats are by no means bad. They're not amazing, but they are good, right? It's just like nice and good and solid. So it's not a mind-blowing card. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes into elemental decks. You know, you put the Tar Creeper in there, you put the Hot Spring Guardian, you have your kind of Taunt base covered. You can really hold off the tide of the aggressive decks that are going up against you. There's a lot of tools given in this expansion against aggressive decks, much more so than in previous expansions. So, I gotta be honest, if there was ever a time where Hearthstone might actually slow down, this right now might be it. Tidal Surge, deal 4 damage to a minion, restore 4 health to your hero. This, I think, is just worse than Jade Lightning in almost every circumstance, so I don't expect this to see play. I mean, Jade Shaman will still be a thing, and even without playing like a big investment into Jades, Tidal Surge, I think, is still just a worse version of Jade Lightning. You don't need the 4 health on that. I don't know, I would be surprised if this sees play. It's not that strong. Fire Plume Harbinger. Reduce the cost of elementals in your hand by 1. Now, an important thing to look at with Shaman is, of course, what is already an elemental. So we can't just look that up. Right, elemental, we have him. And then actually in Shaman, I think this, well, actually, right now, yeah, they don't have the elemental tag. But you can see, right, these guys, they have elemental in their name. So they are very likely going to end up being elementals. Reduce the cost of elementals in your hand by 1. This is actually a mini Forison at times, right? On top of that, it's a cheap elemental, which allows you to curve into bigger elementals. And this is something that's really important. You remember those cards that gave you, you know, like it's a 1 mana, 1/2 elemental that gives you another 1 mana, 1/2 elemental. Those 1 mana elementals are going to be essential to allow you to guarantee that you can combo into elementals. With the Fire Plume Harbinger, you can play this guy ahead of time, turn him into 0 mana elementals, guaranteeing, absolutely guaranteeing, that you can always curve into your elementals properly. As such, the Fire Plume Harbinger, I will probably see play. I expect him to be a one-off. Maybe two, I don't know, its stats are not that strong. Depends on how fast the meta is again, right? In a slower meta, I could see 2 of these. In a faster one, probably just 1 of them. So you can use that later on. It's not an on-curve minion. That's something that's important to keep in mind here. Sometimes you want to play him on curve, so you can then play the Earth Elemental on turn 4, right? I don't know, you could even like Fire Plume Harbinger with the coin on turn 1, Fire Plume Harbinger on turn 2, and then turn 3 you play your Earth Elemental. That would be kind of funny. Of course, that's the dream and somewhat unlikely. But this is the kind of card you want to hold until you have a bunch of elementals in your hand and then play him. So maybe a one-off, maybe. I'm not sure, right? It has potential, but a lot of it comes down to how fast the meta is. And 1 second. Oh man, that's unfortunate. I'm sorry. Air Elemental can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. A 1 mana 2/1. Also an elemental. A lot of people are saying... God damn it, of course. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just human. Okay. So, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. While that effect, of course, is somewhat alright, I don't think this card will see much play. The only purpose this will serve is to curve into other elementals. And if you think about it, would I rather play him? Or would I rather play one of those 1/2 dudes? You know, like one of the guys that gives me another elemental that I can play later on. I would much rather play the other one. Right, I would much rather play the other one. I think Air Elemental will not see play. Especially since elemental decks, I don't think, are there any 2 mana elemental cards? Right, like, it's just elemental decks are more late game orientated. So... yes, I guess you can curve into it. Like, you can use this as the 1-drop elemental to later curve into it. You can even use him. You know, you can even use the Fire Plume Harbinger to reduce this to 0. But wouldn't you rather have the other one that gives you 2 1-mana elementals? I think so. So I don't think Air Elemental is very good. Lyra the Sunshard, a 5-mana 3/5. Whenever you cast a spell, add a random priest spell to your hand. This is the card that Mike Donay said is the priest legendary that might actually be too good. But there aren't that many powerful priest spells. There just aren't. I mean, let's look at priest spells, okay? So, I would like... Can I type in spell? Does that work? Okay, now we go to priest. Yeah, okay, alright. So what we need to do now is we need to look at old gods here. So what do you want to get from this? Right, I guess you can keep spamming forbidden shapings if you keep getting forbidden shapings, but all of this is useless if you get it from Lyra the Sunshard, right? None of this, except maybe forbidden shaping, is going to be helpful. Purify, you can purify him, and then I assume you don't actually get another purify, but at least you drew a card. Potion of Madness is nice, of course. Pint-sized potion, these are like lower cost spells, but again, very gimmicky, and they don't really do a lot. And then, of course, we have the classic. Do I need to go basic? Yeah, I guess I need to do both. Classic, we have Circle of Feeling, Silence. Like, which of these cards are you looking for to get from Lyra? Right, and which one are you gonna spam? Which cards are you going to play a lot of? Right, I guess you can get a lot of Power Word, Shields, and Divine Spirits, and Mind Blasts. But, I don't know, like... Okay, so there is another Priest card in here that is going to make this a little bit more viable, but just a Radiant Elemental. Right, so you play the Radiant Elemental, then you play Lyra the Sun Shard, and all of a sudden you can actually spam a lot more. Even if you play 2 Radiant Elementals, you can have a really big turn. But it is very, very random, right? Because you need to keep getting these 1-cost spells that don't really do that much. Essentially, okay, so the dream is the following, right? You play Lyra the Sun Shard, you play Radiant Elemental, you play Mind Blast, and you just keep getting Mind Blasts. Right, that is the dream. But what is the more realistic scenario is you'll get Mind Blast, you get Holy Nova, and then it's done. Right? Like, that's the end of that. Because you just can't keep comboing. Honestly, I don't think Lyra the Sun Shard will see play. I don't see this card as being good. It is an elemental, which is definitely an advantage. So maybe you can, but you want to curve with elementals, right? So it doesn't really fit into an elemental deck either because it doesn't have a lot of power. I don't know, man. And 5 mana for a 3/5 is just really bad. I think Priest will have tools, Priest will be powerful, and Lyra the Sun Shard is probably not going to see play right now. Now, this card may just become insane in the next, or, you know, the next expansion or the expansion after that. There's a lot of potential with this card, just because it can actually just become absolutely disgusting if there are enough spells, right? Enough spells that are worth getting. But if they introduce 3 more Mind Blasts, and all of a sudden Lyra the Sun Shard can actually be really, really powerful. But until then, I don't see this seeing play. Free from Amber. Discover a minion that costs 8 or more, summon it. This is actually almost a better... I don't know. Okay, so to some extent, it's Forbidden Shaping, right? It's very similar to Forbidden Shaping, which I think Forbidden Shaping is actually really powerful. Now, what you want to do with Forbidden Shaping is you want to play it on turn 8 and get Turion or Ragnaros and win the game. Now... Free from Amber does have the advantage of giving you choice, but it's actually a little bit more random than Forbidden Shaping. So let's look at... Can I... 8 mana? Is that how that works? Wait, I think I need to do this. Mana 8. And then... that didn't do anything. Okay, never mind. Oh, hey, cardbacks. Wait, shit, where am I right now? Okay, there we are. Alright, let's just look at it manually like this, right? So, 8 mana. Let's go through Old Gods first, right? What is there? Okay, Eldritch Aura and Doomcaller. Those are actually pretty good ones to get. I mean, they're big and nasty, right? Then we have Karasan, we have Medivh. It's a 7/7. That's the worst outcome there. That's just the neutrals though, right? Yeah, I should actually probably go through it like this. Sorry. Giant Sandworm is good. Ragnaros is good. We have... And then again, these two. Karasan, it is Medivh, and that's it. Right? And then we have this one where there are no 8 mana minions that you're getting from. And then, of course, basic. We have Ironbark Protector here. And again, nothing. And then we go into Classic, and that's where a lot of the good ones are. Ragnaros is rotating out, so you won't be getting him anymore. But, you know, currently you can still get Ragnaros. But, of course, there's Grommash, who's great. You have Turion, who wins the game. And that's it. So you see there, really, if you play Forbidden Shaping on turn 8, there's really only, like, really good outcomes. Now, with Free from Amber... 8 or more, and that's really the keyword. You can get scenarios, which you summon as a 5/8, which is not a good outcome, right? Uturion, of course, amazing. You can play Jaraxxus, which, again, is not a good outcome. Grommash, yes, you can still get that, but then you can get Nostormo or Malygos, which Malygos can be amazing, but in a priest deck, it more often will not be. Right now, you have Visera and Sea Giant, and I guess Giants in general. Which is actually somewhat decent that the Giants are taking up a pretty big slot here. right? But in general, I think you'll actually just be in a much less consistent situation than Forbidden Shaping. And the card just kind of becomes worse like that, right? If you think about it, you can get Kufun, which might actually just be really bad. Nosov, which isn't that great on its own. Of course, you can get Deathwing and Faceless Behemoth, but the problem here is that the pool of cards just gets diluted by all of these worse options that you could potentially draw, right? I guess Arcane Giant is good. Again, the Giants are good. Kuhn isn't that great. And then that's it, I think. Yeah. So the pool of cards is a little bit diluted. The ability to discover makes it, of course, more consistent. It's actually a really tricky situation, I think. Right? It really will come down to just playing it and seeing from there. There is a potential this card is just better than Forbidden Shaping. There is, of course, also the potential that it is worse. I can see both happening. And the problem is there's a direct competition, right? There's a direct one-on-one competition between Free from Amber and Forbidden Shaping. And we'll just see who comes out ahead. You will almost never see both in one deck. The problem is just that you already don't really see Forbidden Shaping in a deck, so I don't know why you would play Free from Amber. Right, like that's the thing. Forbidden Shaping has a lot more utility than Free for Amber because it can be played whenever you want. And I'm not screwing this up, right? No, this is in the Old Gods. This is still in... Yeah, this is still in the thing. So, Forbidden Shaping, again, I think it's just better. And that kind of makes... I don't know. It's really gonna come down to seeing it. I'm not gonna give this one just a hard no. I think there is potential of Free from Amber that it's good. But there's also potential that it just gets outclassed by Forbidden Shaping. In which case, it's really bad because nobody plays Forbidden Shaping. Radiant Elemental we already talked about. Binding Heal, restore 5 health to a minion and your hero. This card we'll almost certainly see play in, like, as a one-off in decks. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't. The only question here is, do you need a minion to actually use this card? Because then at times it could be worse than Flash Heal. Of course, Flash Heal is, you know, a thing. Restore 5 health. Yes, a Binding Heal may seem a power creep on this, but Flash Heal can be used with Organized Soul Priest, which I guess that is the reason why they are doing this. But Flash Heal, I think, can also just be used without a minion on the board, which Binding Heal cannot. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Binding Heal in Reno decks. Oh, well, Cassicus decks, since Reno's leaving us, right? Just as a one-off. Outside of that, I don't think we'll see it, but in... Reno decks, Cassicus decks. Also, can we just agree to call them Reno decks? I like that they are Reno decks, right? Like, I understand Reno is leaving us, but Reno is the card that made everything possible, that created this archetype. So I think let's just keep calling them Reno decks. Just for the sake of history, right? I think it's a cool name for it. And then, you know, in 50 years, people look at the cards and it's just like, why the fuck is this called a Reno deck? And then I can be an old man and just be like, you younglings, right? I think that would be funny. So I'll just keep calling them Reno decks. But yeah, adaptation, adapt a friendly minion. This is a Paladin card. This card will see play, especially in combination with that new Paladin quest. Have I talked about the Paladin quest yet? I don't think so. Paladin quest is, of course, a 1-mana spell. You need to adapt 6 friendly... Not adapt. You need to cast a spell on 6 friendly minions, which then, you know, gives you Galvadon, which is a 5-mana dude. I think we have talked about him. But it's a 5-mana dude, you know, gets a huge... gets 5 adaptation and just goes bonkers on people. Now, adapt a friendly minion. Very inconsistent. I wouldn't be surprised if this sees play, though, especially in combination with this next card, the Primalfin Champion. Return any spells you cast on this minion to your hand. So, we saw this on the stream, and we saw how it just absolutely destroyed everything. Like, this card went insane. Because you cast everything on the Primalfin Champion, and then the Primalfin Champion just runs you over. Because, like, first of all, you know, he's big now, but if you kill it, then all of those spells go back into your hand. So, Primalfin Champion, essentially what this card says is every time you cast a spell on it, Death Rattle, draw 1 card. Right? Like, gain Death Rattle, draw a card. Except you know what card it's going to be. this whole super hardcore buffing paladin, if that ends up being a thing, Prime Muffin Champion will be played in every single deck of it, as a 2-of. Right, I have no doubt about that. Now the question is, will that deck be a thing? That depends, we'll have to wait and see. Right, but if it is, this card will be in it. Spirit Singer Umbra, after you summon a minion, trigger its Death Rattle effect. This card is amazing, it's absolutely insane. This is like Bran, but for Death Rattles. It will see play, basically no matter what. The question is just what deck, but there's definitely going to be a Death Rattle Priest, so there, right? Death Rattle no Soft Priest, Spirit Singer Umbra, I think is a easy inclusion. This card will see play, there's no doubt in my mind about it. Even if not in Standard right now, in Wild, I mean it's insane with Sylvanas. Right, on turn 10, Spirit Singer Umbra, and then Sylvanas, and you just steal a minion, and you have an insane board. And then Sylvanas dies, and you steal another minion. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So, a Spirit Singer Umbra, the effect on this card is so powerful that there's no way this doesn't see play at some point in the future. Primordial Drake, Taunt, deal 2 damage to all other minions. So, dragon decks, of course, are somewhat leaving us. Right? Sadly. Because, most of the good dragons, you know, if we look at the dragons, where were they? Grand Tournament. Let's actually just type in dragon to make it a bit easier. So here, the Twilight Guardian is here. Blackrock Mountain. We have Blackwing Technician, Blackwing Corruptor, Draconite Crusher. You may recognize a lot of these from literally all dragon decks. Twilight Whelp, Dragon Consort. You know, see what I mean? Like, you may recognize these from literally all dragon decks. So, seeing as dragon decks are mostly leaving us, there's going to be a little bit of a problem with getting these going again. You know, like, how exactly will that happen? Well, Priest still has Draconite Operative, which is still good, right? And then, of course, I suppose Bookworm still exists, and Curator, Neverspite Historian is also still a thing. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Primordial Drake sees play in some decks, especially in that Curator Taunt Warrior I talked about earlier. We saw this card on stream be really, really powerful. I think it has a very powerful effect. Its stat line, of course, isn't great, but it is solid. Right, if you deal 2 damage to all other minions, then having a 4/8 taunt is actually really good. So Primordial Drake, I wouldn't be too surprised as a like one-off in Curator Warrior to make sure that you actually draw a dragon, since Asia Drake is leaving us. If dragon decks somehow survive, then the only one that really will have a chance is of course Priest. Right, Dragon Priest is the only deck that has even the slightest chance at surviving, since it does have the Operative and the Dragon Fire Potion. But then I wouldn't be too surprised to see Primordial Drake in those either. Although a little bit more questionable there, since dragon decks tend to fight for board control. But yes, this will see play as a one-off in Curator Taunt Warrior. There's no doubt about that. Igneous Elemental, add 2 1/2 Elementals into your hand. Yes, this card is powerful. This will see play in Elemental decks. Again, getting those 1/2 Elementals is really, really important, especially if you consider that Shaman card that, you know, reduces the cost of your Elementals in your hand. So with this Igneous Elemental, you throw them down, you get your 1/2 Elementals, you can use that to continue curving. There's also a 3 mana minion, so you can curve him into the 4 mana 3/5 Divine Shield Taunt. So Igneous Elemental, I think, will certainly be picked up in some Elemental decks. Now, which ones that's going to be and how often he gets played, I don't know. Right, like this is maybe a one-off in like Elemental Shaman or something like that. It comes down to how contested that free spot is, and again how fast the metagame is. If you really need to just protect yourself from Pirate Warrior and Jade Shaman every single game, like the current meta, then this card will not see play because it's too slow. But and then you need to run the Tar Creeper. Right, but if that isn't the case, then the Igneous Elemental could definitely be pretty powerful. Can I also point something out about the Tar Creeper and all of those creepers in general? I'm very excited to give those a play in my hand buffing Paladin decks. I think they will be really powerful there. And, you know, their downside will be not as significant. So, I think those Tower Creepers are actually going to be pretty strong. And I'm looking forward to playing with them. The War Axe. After you cast a spell on this minion, summon a 1/1 plant and cast another copy on it. So this might go into that buffing paladin. Other than that, no. I just don't know who would use this. It's a 4 mana 3/3. It needs to be played in a combo, else it'll just die. I don't think this card is very good. If it has a chance, it will be in the Paladin deck. But outside of that, I just don't see it. Volatile Elemental. Death Rattle. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy minion. This one I think is very difficult to judge. Because actually having a 2 mana 1/1 deal 3 damage to a random enemy minion is... Okay, so 2 mana 1/1 is of course bad, right? But first of all, it's an elemental. Curse into further elementals if you need that, right? It doesn't deal damage to a random minion. It's a random enemy minion, which is really useful. This guy might be a real problem for some players. You know, like you play him and all of a sudden, well, shit, I have my board here, but it's just gonna die to him. This card might actually be pretty powerful. At the same time, it could also just be ignored, and the random is always a problem, right? Also the fact that it's a Death Rattle. You can of course combo it with Spirit Singer. Of course, the fact that it's a Death Rattle will also help with Death Rattle Priest. I'm unsure about this one. I think it has potential. I definitely think it has potential. We'll have to wait and see. Right? The thing is just, its stat line is so bad. It might just be bad enough that enemies can just ignore this minion. But if that's not the case, then I think Volatile Elemental might actually see play. Giant Wasp, Stealth and Poisonous. This won't see play. There is already a minion like this in the game. Although it is a little bit more expensive, right? It's a rogue card. Well, is it not 4 mana? Is it 3 mana? 2 mana even? Holy shit, this card never sees play. Wait, what I have selected right now? Standard? Wait, where is that? What is it called? Assassin something? Lotus Assassin? Is he a neutral card? There is this... Okay, well, Poisonous. Okay, there's the Pit Snake. Cobra and... Oh, I don't have the card. That's why. This card already exists. But as a 2 mana card. This doesn't see play, Giant Wasp won't see play. Because this right here is just a better version of it. So this is just not good. Stormwatcher, 7 mana, 4/8 Wind Fury. As one I think is funny. Its stats are actually not half bad, and Wind Fury is a pretty powerful effect. It still won't see play, because it's just too basic of a card. But in Arena, this might be pretty powerful. But then again, I don't play that much Arena, and by that much I mean any, so I wouldn't know. But, I don't know, it seems to actually be somewhat decent. Like, this is the thing about this card. Like, I look at this, and it makes me think, this has to be bad. Right? This has to be bad. But then I'm like, but its stats aren't that bad. It has 8 health. That's a lot of health. I don't know. You know, if you compare that to the Harpy, right? Where is it? Wind Fury Harpy. Is that what it's called? I think so. There it is. Wind Fury Harpy, right? This is just 1 mana less. And it has 3 less HP. And it's not an elemental, right? That's another thing about it. It's an elemental as well. I don't know, man. I think this card is actually not super terrible. Although, I would be surprised if it sees play. But I think it actually has a little bit of potential. Stubborn Gastropod, Taunt Poisonous, 1/2 Beast. No. Sorry. Fire Plume Phoenix, 4 mana for free. Deal 2 damage. Elemental. The only thing that could make this card be viable is that it's an elemental. It's again a power creep, right? Deal 2 damage. There's this guy, 5 mana, 4/2. Battlecry, deal 2 damage. This is not only a better stat line, but also 1 less mana and an elemental. So a huge power creep on Stormpike Commando. The problem is that Stormpike Commando is not even close to being viable, right? It needed to cost 3 mana. Fire Plume Phoenix, if at all, only because of its elemental tag. The elemental tag makes me think it might be alright, just because it can curve into further elementals. But then again, it is too expensive to be used for that. So I'm gonna give this one a no for now, but I don't know. It's just, its stat line is really bad. Like again, that stuff matters, right? If you play the Fire Plume Phoenix on curve, like on turn 4 you play that guy, what are you gonna kill with it, right? Nothing, and then it's just a 3/3. You would much rather play other cards, I think. Devil Sword Egg. Summon a 5/5 Devil Sword. This card will see play. It's a 3 mana 03. It is Nerubian Egg's bigger brother. It will see play in Zoo and Egg Druid. There's no doubt about it. These kind of effects are powerful, right? It is anti-board clear. It keeps you going. Yes, the fact that it is 3 mana as opposed to 2 mana is actually much worse. So I think Devil Sword Egg is a worse version of Nerubian Egg, but this card will still see play, right? This card will be played. I'm pretty sure about that. It's just this anti-board clear effect is super strong and incredibly important. Stonehill Defender. Taunt Battlecry, discover a taunt minion. So to assess this card properly, we need to look at what taunt minions there are. This one is bad, this one is bad, this one is bad. Of course, now we are kind of cheating because we are not looking at only the cards in the set that are relevant. This one is bad, this one is bad, this one is bad. This one is very situational and only good in one deck. Same for this one. This one is bad, this one is bad, this one is good, this one is actually not a taunt minion. This one will be bad if you get it from this. This one is somewhat alright, but really, really expensive. Karasan, this one is bad. This one isn't a taunt minion. This one is bad. This one is actually very good. Gazajan, this one is very situational. This one is bad, but it's actually gonna be alright, honestly. Like, this one isn't that horrible. This one is actually pretty damn good. This one is bad, and then we go into basic. Yay, bad, 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 good. I like Senjin. Bad, bad. We go into classic. Bad, situationally. Bad, bad, situationally good. Bad, bad, bad. You may have noticed the problem. This card is bad. Sorry. The chance of getting a good taunt minion out of this is tiny. Now, of course, there are the new warrior taunt minions, which are going to help with that chance a little bit. But the pool of cards that you can get is so incredibly diluted with shit that this card is just too inconsistent to be good. Ravasor runs. Battlecry, if you control at least 2 other minions, adapt. I'm actually not sure what to think of this one. I'm gonna pass on this one. I don't want to say it's bad, because this may actually see play in some sort of, like, Druid deck, maybe? There's something that creates a lot of tokens. Or in a Zoo deck. I'm gonna say for now that I don't see a lot of potential in this, because it's a 2 mana minion, and if you control at least 2 other minions, I mean, how are you gonna get that many minions on the board on turn 2? Now, it is doable, right? Patches, of course, helps. You can play the ally card and such. Then you really have to play it survives. And then you play the Ravasor run. That's actually pretty powerful. You can even have it as like a, you know, a 5/2 on turn 2 or something like that. Something silly. Definitely possible. I mean, it could be good. I don't know, man. I'm gonna give that one a pass. I'm unsure. But it's probably not very good. Meteor, deal 15 damage to a minion and 6 damage to adjacent ones. This one I find very funny. Deal 15 damage to a minion is just incredibly overkill. This card might actually see play just because of how overkill it is. Because deal 15 damage to a minion is essentially kill a minion. And then 3 damage to adjacent ones. That's pretty solid too. So Meteor might actually see play as a one-off, maybe. You know, if Reno Mage survives, which it won't, but maybe, then almost certainly, I would say, as a one-off. I don't know. This card is funny. Like, if I look at this, I think, well, Mage doesn't really need that. But then I look at the numbers and I'm like, well, this thing is so ridiculously, like, OP. And just in terms of numbers, right? How much damage it does. That it makes me think that maybe a one-off, just in case. You know, just like, you never know. You go up against a Druid, right? And they just like, innovate, innovate. And then, like, turn 2 innovate. Actually, no, what they do is turn 2 innovate. Turn 3, they play, no, wait. Turn 2, they Wild Growth. Turn 3, innovate, innovate, coin, Visera. Right? And you're like, oh, shit. Well, you just meteor them. Although you won't have enough mana for it. But you get the idea, right? I don't know. The thing about that card is it's so incredibly overstated that it makes me think there's some potential. Primordial Glyph, discover spell, reduce its cost by 2. Well, considering you have Open the Waygate, cast 6 spells that didn't start in your deck, this card will see play in the Open the Waygate deck. It's that simple. You need it. Just like this one, add a random Mage spell to your hand. This will also see play in the Open the Waygate deck. So these two are, of course, both going to be good for this one. Now, reward Time Warp. I have seen people say that Time Warp isn't that good. In case you don't know what Time Warp is a spell, a 5-mana spell that lets you take another turn. That effect is broken as shit. That is so broken. You may look at that and be like I've seen people make the comparison that, well, it's essentially just innovate, gain 5 mana. Except it's not, and it's much more broken like that. What Time Warp is, all of the minions on board gain Wind Fury. All of the minions who play this turn gain charge, gain 5 additional mana, and draw a card. That's what it is. Oh, and or any end of turn effects, trigger those as well while you're at it. That's what Time Warp is. Time Warp is insane. Right? There's no way this deck won't come into existence just because of how broken Time Warp is. There's so many combos, right? First of all, let's talk about Giants. Right? Wait. God damn it. Giant, there we go. Right, Molten Giant, of course a little less likely because who even plays these anymore, but you Time Warp, you had 1 HP because of Ice Block, and which you, by the way, can control, right? You complete your quest, and then you just sit there with your Ice Block and you wait for them to pop it. You had 1 HP, okay, cool. Molten Giant, then you play, well, I mean, while you're at it, you might as well, right? Arcane Giant, Time Warp, and you won! And all you had to do was cycle through your deck. Oh, it turns out, what is Mage good at? Cycling through their deck, because that's what they did already anyway with Freeze Mage. Time Warp is insane. There are going to be so many one-turn kill possibilities. Like, this is just one of hundreds that this deck will absolutely be a thing. Dinomancy, your hero power becomes give it please +2/+2. At first I was actually a little bit, you know, on that. But then I saw it on the stream and it was actually really powerful. So I think this card will actually see some play. Why not? Right? Give a beast +2/+2 is actually pretty powerful. And why not? Like, this card actually seems strong. Jeweled Macaw. Add a random beast to your hand. Battle Cry. This is Web Spinner, but as a Battle Cry Spinner. Web Spinner was good. This card will be good. Grievous Bite, deal 2 damage to a minion and 1 damage to adjacent ones. Probably not. Hunter wants to fight for board control through minions. Usually, you know, they have a lot of strong death rattlers and such. Grievous Bite or Grievous Bite is actually not a bad effect, but I just don't know what you would cut for it. So, Tyrantros can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. 10 mana, 12/12 beast. This card is bad. However, Jungle Giants summon 5 minions with 5 or more attack. Reward Barnabas. Barnabas is a 5 mana 8/8 that makes it so all of the minions in your deck now cost 0. That makes this guy actually good, because if you have this one as a 0 mana 12/12 with can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, turns out that's pretty damn powerful. So, Jungle Giants is an interesting quest. Clearly we'll see play. I mean, all of the quests will see play. Now, currently there's a very interesting deck that I like a lot, which is, of course, the whole... And now I'm going to have to move that over here really quick. And Yeah, I call this the Mage combo, although it's of course not really a Mage combo. But you know, you have the Kun, you have Malagos, you have Gatsajans, and then you just like play Aviana, you play Kun, refresh your mana, you play Gatsajan, preferably 2 if you can. And you just start spamming spells, get yourself the Malagos, and just cut your opponent down in 1 turn. It's a very powerful combo once it gets going. And having, I mean, Gatsajan and Malagos cost 0 will certainly make it easier. Aviana's leaving, right? Aviana's rotating out, but Malagos isn't, and Gatsajan isn't. And Jungle Giants will make this combo more possible. Now, at the same time, I don't know, like, it's gonna be a little bit tricky to fulfill this condition. However, of course, there's the Elder Longneck, which is a 5 attack beast if you're holding a minion with 5 or more attack adapt. That of course works well with the Jungle Giants. It's just that the Elder Longneck is not that great of a card. Earthen Scales give a friendly minion +1/+1, then gain armor equal to its attack. This will allow you to stall. Giant Anaconda, summon a minion from your hand with 5 or more attack on its death rattle. Again, synergy with this. Tall Tauren Forager, add a random minion of 5 or more attack to your hand. 2 mana Battlecry. You may see they are really pushing for this mechanic of having 5 or more attack minions. Funnily enough, just because of that, I think it's very difficult to judge how good this will be. Because, so this is something I like with this expansion. They've really stopped just pushing super hard. You need to do this! Except for this, right? With the Jungle Giants, they're saying, play some 5 or more attack minions. Now, is this better than Jade's? Probably not. But is it viable? Maybe. I don't know, right? It's really hard to tell because those kind of decks where they are like, play this, have traditionally speaking, been really bad. I mean, Beast Druid has never been a thing. Neither has Taunt Warrior. So, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Bitter Tide Hydra. Whenever this minion takes damage, deal 3 damage to your hero. A 5 mana 8/8 beast. This card will actually see play. I'm pretty sure about that. So, of course, the thing about it, the downside is, if it takes 8 times 1 damage, you die. Okay. How will this happen? Volcano, right? That Shaman spell. Any other possibilities? No, not really. There was a card that existed a long time ago. A long fucking time ago. It was a 5 mana. And where was it? So in Blackrock Mountain. I may have disenchanted it. Did I? Where did it go? Let's just go into... Wait, what happened? Oh, I'm still in deck building. Oh, yeah, now that makes sense. Okay, let's go into all cards, 5 mana, and Fell Reaver. There we go. Disenchanted him, didn't need him anymore. Whenever your opponent plays a card, remove the top 3 cards of your deck. 5 mana, 8/8. Funnily enough, this card saw play. And this card, I think, has a bigger downside than the Bitter Tide Hydra. So, I would be surprised if the Hydra doesn't see play. I mean, I would put that in my Hunter deck. Like, let's go. Right, my mid-range Hunter is going to play the Bitter Tide Hydra. Because why not? A 5 mana 8/8, let's go, right? That's awesome. It's a beast too, I can buff it. But yes, every time it takes damage, I take 3 damage. Okay, I don't want to play it into a board where my opponent has minions there. I don't want to do that, but I want to play it if I am ahead. Hell yeah, I want to play that because I just need to hit you 3 times and you're dead. You hit this guy 3 times, I take 9 damage. Who cares, right? Like, I'm a hunter. I'm trying to kill you, not to make sure. I'm not trying to make sure that I don't get killed. So, I actually kind of like this card. Chittering Tunneler. A Battlecry, discover spell. Deal damage to a hero equal to its cost. No idea how good that is going to be. Absolutely not. Iron Hide. Gain 5 armor. That's kind of neat. It's worse than Shield Block, I think. Right, we have Shield Block, of course. Wait, where am I right now? God. Is it called Shield Block? Yeah, Shield Block, there it is. Right, I think shield block draws you, is better because it also draws you a card. But just gaining 5 armor is pretty good. It's somewhat of a flash heal, right? Just you can use it when full HP. We'll see. Maybe one of, right? I don't know. The problem is just it doesn't have any card draw attached to it. And Warrior does struggle a little bit with card draw. So, yeah. Emerald Reaver. Deal 1 damage to each hero. Probably not. Nesting Rock. 5 mana, 4/7. If you control at least 2 other minions, gain Taunt. This, again, I think might actually be pretty good in Midrange Hunter. I can definitely see this there. Outside of Midrange Hunter, I don't think so. Maybe in like a Swarming Druid or something like that. But Midrange Hunter, maybe. Rockpool Hunter. Give a friendly Murloc +1/+1. 2 mana, 2/3. That's actually pretty solid. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see that in some sort of Shaman Murloc deck. Charge Devil Sword. Charge Battlecry. Can't attack heroes this turn. This card makes King Crush really sad. Probably not going to see play though. Hunter has so many good options now that I don't think Charge Devil Sword will be able to fit in. Emerald Hive Queen. Your minions cost 2 more. 1 mana, 2/3. I'm not sure about this one actually. This card is very anti-aggro, right? You want to play it in control decks. Other cards that are similar, right? Or similar effect that we have seen before are, of course, the Mistress of Mixtures here, which is the one that we currently use a lot. Pretty sure she's staying. She's not going anywhere. And then we also have Zombie Chow. Restore 5 health to the enemy hero. The thing about Zombie Chow, I think Zombie Chow was just better because, you know, oftentimes 5 health to the enemy hero doesn't matter. Emerald Hive Queen kind of makes it so you don't have any plays. I don't know, man. That card I find really difficult to judge. Because, like, maybe we really need anti-aggro tools. But probably not. And if we don't, then I don't think this card is good. I'm gonna give this one a pass. I don't think it's very powerful. Its downside is too big. Biteweed, or Edwin Funweed. Gain +1/+1 for each other card you've played this turn. Worse than Fun Cleave. I don't think there's any space for this in any rogue decks. I just don't know how, right? With Conceal rotating out, makes it more difficult to get the Gadget on turns. And with Van Cleave, you play him, you get a huge ass dude, right? Like with Biteweed, you play that and you get a medium ass dude. It might be alright just because it's only 2 mana. Right? That could maybe make it work, but it's terrible on curve, of course. And you need to combo 2 cards to already just like get somewhat, like just a tiny bit of value out of it. I'm probably not. Probably not. Sudden Genesis. Summon copies of your damaged minions. Probably not, but maybe. I mean, a lot of the taunt minions are actually pretty heavy on HP. So with the Sudden Genesis, you can get a bunch more taunt minions. And let's actually go all the way back really quick. Where is that? Play 7 taunt minions. So it doesn't work for the Fire Plume's hard, which makes me think that's probably not that good. Right, like that's oh, we went too far, I think. Yeah. It's like Blood Warriors to some extent. If we look at Blood Warriors. Wait, it's a 3 mana spell, right? Is it not? 4 mana? How much mana is Blood Warriors? No, there it is. Unsure why it didn't show that to me on 3 mana. Blood Warriors. Add a copy of each damage-friendly minion to your hand. It is definitely better than that, but Blood Warriors wasn't really that good. You can definitely make some funny combo plays with it. I don't know, maybe. I'm not gonna give that one a pass. I think that one has potential. The effect is very powerful, that's for sure. It's just gonna be difficult to get it. In Wild, I can see this one actually being really powerful because, you know, on turn 4, you play your Death Spite, you hit a guy, in turn 5 you would explode the Death Spite, and then you Sudden Genesis and you have a huge ass board. Depends on how sturdy the taunts end up being. If the taunts end up being really, really sturdy, and you can really, like, expect them to survive, in that case, Sudden Genesis might be pretty powerful. Tau Lurker, Taunt, has +3 attack during your opponent's turn. 5 mana, 4/7, I guess. Probably not. I don't know. Maybe. I'm unsure about this one. I'm unsure. I'll just leave it at that. Say a Saber-Tooth Stalker, 6 mana, 8/2 stealth. The problem is with 8/2 at 2 HP, you don't need a lot to kill it, even if it's stealth. Probably not going to see play. It's not better than High Main, and the only deck that I can see that would want to play this is a Hunter, maybe. I don't know. The thing is, 8 attack is a lot, but probably not. It's probably just a filler. Add a Razor Petal to your hand that deals 1 damage. Battlecry. Sure. I mean, Rogue always wants to have cheap spells, so maybe. A Nesting Rock. We already did that one, didn't we? Oh, interesting. Bright-Eyed Scout. Draw a card. Change its cost to 5. This one is not going to see play. It's too random. It's too random. It's not a reliable effect by any means. So, sorry. A Vicious Fledgling. After this minion attacks a hero, adapt. That's actually an interesting effect, but it will also not see play. I mean, wait, where did that guy go? It's a 4 mana Shaman card. I'm not sure if I even have him. Let's go into crafting. Oh, there you go. Lotus Illusionist. After this minion attacks a hero, transform it into a random 6-cost minion. If that guy didn't make it, that guy won't make it either. Sorry, Vicious Fledgling. But no. Giant Mastodon, 6/10 taunt. This is a worse Ancient of War. Funnily enough, it is almost a better version of that Shaman, that Elemental Legendary. Because the Elemental Legendary most of the time will just be a 5/10. This guy is a 6/10, so it's somewhat better than that. But still, a no. Pterodox Hatchling, Battlecry Adapt. I have no idea, man. Probably not. Because, like, nah, its stats are too weak. If it was a 2/3, I could see it. But as a 2/2, probably not. Steam Searcher. If you played an Elemental last turn, add a Flame Geyser to your hand. That's actually pretty powerful. Again, it works with the quest. The quest is insane. So this will see play. Just because anything that enables the quest will see play. And Venom Weapon, give your weapon poisonous. It's actually really interesting. So, you need to have a dagger. You make the dagger poisonous. Now, you can kill 2 minions, but you need to take the damage. I think the effect is pretty powerful. Allows you to fight for board really well. It's also something I think you might want to play on curve. You know, you play a Venom Weapon, and then next turn you play just a 4 dude, and you just kill whatever the opponent played. That's pretty strong. I wouldn't be too surprised if this weapon sees play, but the problem is, of course, that Rogue doesn't have any healing, and you can't just face tank everything. So that might be a reason why it doesn't see play, if Rogue just doesn't have the HP necessary to use this card. Blood Bloom, and your next spell this turn costs health instead of mana. We saw that effect with Cho'Gall. Cho'Gall, that's 7 mana. Warlock minion here. The next spell you cast this turn costs health instead of mana. This guy never saw play ever. Blood Bloom might, but I'm somewhat doubtful. It depends on the spells, but I think the most prominent Warlock deck will just be a Discard Lock, and Discard Lock doesn't need Blood Bloom. Blood Bloom might become very powerful in the future though, right? In future expansions, when there are more Warlock decks viable, when the Warlock decks go more spell-based, maybe Blood Bloom is powerful. But the effect is strong, I just don't see it in this particular meta. But in future expansions, I see Blood Bloom as definitely something that can and probably will be quite scary. Razor Petal Volley. Add 2 Razor Petals to your hand that deal 1 damage. Again, having 1 damage, like I assume 1 mana spells, is strong in Rogue. I don't know, but if it's worth, like, I don't know if it's worth just casting 2 mana for it though. That essentially makes them pretty expensive. We'll have to wait and see. Humongous Razorleaf, 3 mana, 4/8, can't attack. Ancient Watcher isn't seeing play. Humongous Razorleaf will not see play. Ultra Soar, yeah, filler. Hallucination, discover a card from your opponent's class. Maybe. I mean, if Journey Below sees play, I can maybe see that seeing play as well. I would be surprised. What expansion is this guy from? Karasan. So the Ethereal Peddler will still be in play, so essentially that Stealing Rogue will still be somewhat alright. I'm gonna give that one a maybe. But probably not. Feeding Time. Deal 3 damage to a minion. Summon 3 1/1 Pterodaxes. This is Implosion, except hopefully balanced. Implosion was probably the worst card ever in Hearthstone history, like in terms of design. Feeding Time is similar but worse. Probably not going to see play. Maybe with the Fell Bloom, but I don't really see it. No, I don't know where this is gonna fit. That's just it. Like, what deck is this gonna go into? If it turns out this effect is very powerful, then yes. But it's hard to judge right now. Eggnapper. Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 Raptors. A 3 mana 3/1. Other Raptors, Beasts. It's still worse than Rat Pack, though. Rat Pack is just stronger. So, since Rat Pack is probably just a better card, I don't think Eggnapper sees play. Whenever you play a Beast Destroyer and add a random beast to your hand, that one is funny. That one will certainly have some cool decks built around it. Sated Fresher Dawn. 7 mana, 5/7 beast, summon 3 1/1 Murlocs. I don't know. Probably not. I'll give that one a no. Obsidian Shard. Costs 1 less for each card you've played from another class. This is a good weapon. Again, in that Stealing Rogue, can definitely see some play. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised. Like, no. This card will definitely have some play. I mean, the Stealing Rogue is definitely a thing. I know it's a little bit silly, but I believe in it, right? So, like, let's just go into standard really quick. But, right, so we have Undercity Huckster. We have that new card. We have Burgle. We have, of course, the legendary. Here's Shaku. And then we have the big guy, the Ethereal Peddler. So maybe. Vine Cleaver, 7 mana 4/3 after you attack, summon 2 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. The thing about this card is it's very powerful, but it costs a lot of mana. If the meta is so fucking slow that you can't afford to run this card, there will be a one-off in Paladin. But only one. But I'm a little doubtful. But this card is actually pretty damn powerful. Right? Vine Cleaver is really strong in every way except its mana cost. So because it's really powerful, like, that's my philosophy always, you know, if a card is powerful enough, there will be a way to make it work. And this might be strong enough for that. And that's it. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It took a little over an hour again. Kind of rushed the ending there, just trying to get it done. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating on the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow.